We're talking with Michael Bluestein of Foreigner in advance of their show Casino Rama Resort that's coming up. Now, right off the hop, the most important question I want, with the floor being yours, tell us why the keyboardist is the most important member of a band.
Wow. Well, if you don't have your chords happening in the song will be pretty empty. But guitarists can play chords too. There's the yeah. I Why is it in Foreigner in particular? I would say it's quite important, if not the most important. There's so many hooks and signature keyboard parts to these songs, like "Waiting for a Girl Like You," uh, um, "Head Games," "Cold as Ice" seems to be the most kind of obvious one, I guess. That piano part, yeah, the keys are just a signature part of certainly stuff from the late '70s and the '80s. There's just, so many important parts that people remember. I mean, it's like you play "Waiting for a Girl Like You" without keyboards, and I don't think people would even recognize the song, right? I mean, it's just so much a part of it.
I want to focus specifically on your personal journey for a moment, joining the band in 2008. Can you talk about that balance between this being dream gig, the legendary band you're joining, but also like cool gig, looks good on the resume. Let's take this step and balancing between the fun and the glamour versus the job and the opportunity that I'm not sure if they approached you or if you were responding to an ad, but like just that nuanced balance.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think that it's a common misconception. A lot of people think, oh, you're in a rock band and sort of, like you said, use the word the glamour. I mean, I think the reality of the job and the reality of life on the road is that sure, you've got these hour and a half, 2 hours on stage with the lights and the video and playing these great tunes, and that part maybe seems it is exciting, and maybe not glamorous but exciting. But then there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of travel. There's the grind of getting from point A to point B. Tour buses, planes, sort of a lot of backstage kind of downtime. Okay, we get to the gig a little early. You're hanging out, whatever. Maybe you're warming up, you're practicing, you're, you know, grabbing a meal. Sometimes the conditions are really great back there. Sometimes maybe they're not. We'll sometimes be in a trailer backstage somewhere. An RV type trailer. It's just there's a lot of kind of normal sort of drudgery to it, I guess, like any job or any life. It's kind of like there are those things that are certainly a lot less than glamorous. But that being said, it's an amazing gig, and like you said, playing these great, incredible songs that are just so much a part of everyone's lives. That's just a huge gift, and none of us take that for granted.
But day one for you, going back to the moment of you taking the leap, was it more, I am pursuing the dream of joining Foreigner, or was this, hey, this is a cool job. I'm gonna apply for this gig, and this will look great on the resume, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly wasn't. It wasn't my life's work to set out and get the gig with Foreigner. To answer your question, no, it wasn't. I was on a musical path. It was my life's work to have it. It was an ambition to have a life in music. Hopefully playing great music with strong musicians and good people. That much I knew. So it's taken me through a kind of circuitous journey of doing a lot of jazz music, funk and soul, improvised things, maybe more kind of instrumental music, playing with singers, different singers, jazz singers, backing singers, touring with the Dancing with the Stars band, in the States, Enrique Iglesias, we were traveling all over the world with him, Boz Scaggs, Burt Bacharach, sort of different artists, leading my own group, putting out records of my own. I always just wanted to have a life in music and have a career in music. And, when the Foreigner gig came, I was sure it was like, wow, I mean, legendary, great songs that I knew and loved from childhood. So it was a wonderful opportunity, but it wasn't, my mission in life to get to play with Foreigner.
Well, you hit a lot of the checklist of names I was going to bring up. So, just a couple of quick hits before we get into another philosophical one. Do you remember the first Foreigner song you learned or had to learn? Do you remember the first one?
So, yeah, I think I was tackling Waiting for a Girl Like You, and then feels like the first time has this really fast keyboard part in the right hand that goes through all the choruses. So I was working on that. Yeah, those are the first two.
So, take us through the balance that it must be a difficult one at times, especially back in 2008 and the first few years. The balance between uh, being an authentic part of a classic sound and making those classic fans happy at a live performance versus making it your own and contributing your individual style to a song, to a performance. How do you walk that line?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that the first part is really you've got to focus on the first portion that you mentioned, which was into really learn the rules before you break them kind of thing. It's like I want to really honor the original parts of the songs and the way they were played, the way they were recorded first, and then over time integrate your own sound and your own personality into it. So it's really a cart, you can't put the cart before the horse kind of thing, really learn the foundation, um, get it. It's sort of like, I mean, I guess like a parallel would be, but building a house, right? I mean, there's certain things that are going to be, that there may be personal touches, and an architect or a builder may have their own style once it gets to a certain point, but there are going to be certain rules of the foundation of the house and the way that's put together and the physics of that have to be, that are standard and that are going to be sort of by the book in a way. Probably not the best analogy, but that one that came to mind.
Well,
Start with kind of the rules and the sort of the basics and the things that hold the house together. In this case, the things that hold the house together would be the certain signature parts that everyone recognizes that are fundamental to the songs. And then there's room in between the spaces, in between those signature parts to infuse some of your own personality.
being around these guys in the band who have been at it so long, maybe as an objective person, even though you are in Foreigner, but you can still be objective, I think. What gets them up still doing it? What's the philosophy behind still touring, still being on the road, coming to Casino Rama, and what keeps their energy up on stage night after night?
And I think that there's collectively a sense that there's a mission there, right? That's bigger than each of us individually, right? It's sort of what your mood is when it comes time to showtime is kind of irrelevant. You're real fortunate if your mood is really excited and full of energy. You can just tap into that and jump on stage. And great, I was already in that kind of mood. I was already in that kind of space anyway. So I luck out tonight, right? If you're in that space, but if you're not, and you're a normal person with dips, right, and your moods and your emotions, you what you do is you summon that spirit of performance and of excitement, and because the crowd's going to be pumped, they're there, they've shelled out their hard-earned money to be there, and they want to hear these songs and they're psyched to sing along with these songs. So it's like there's a mission and there's a greater calling that's greater than each of our individual ups and downs and however we may be feeling that night too.
So, do you look at every audience as Foreigner fans that they all fit into that box, or is there any kind of customization or change depending on an American audience versus a Canadian audience, like you're coming to at Casino Rama, or size of audience? Is there anything that even subtly will make you change an approach to a show, or is it kind of all the same set? These are Foreigner fans.
There's a sense sometimes that you have to work a little harder maybe to get people off off out of their seats to get people sort of to let go a little more and to have fun. You know, sometimes we'll have season ticket holders at a performing arts space or theater, or people that buy the package, or they're donors to the theater or the performing arts space, and so they go to all the shows because they paid for their subscription, and maybe they aren't exactly like the hardcore foreigner fans that would have bought those individual tickets. Sometimes you come across that. Sometimes in casinos, you'll have the quote unquote high rollers that have been given these seats, have been given these tickets because of how much business they do and how much money they put down at the casino. Again, maybe people that wouldn't have went out of their own accord and bought the tickets, but they get them, and they've been given to them, so they show up. I think these two sectors of the audience that I'm talking about are a smaller percentage. Maybe we're talking about 10% of people, if that. So, most of the people there are psyched. They're foreigner fans. They know the songs. They love the songs, and they're pumped to be there. But yeah, there could be people that are more reserved, or people that didn't necessarily 100% choose to be there. And it just makes, you just have to work a little harder. You just have to give it just a little bit more. You have to reach out to them, communicate with them, and just get them to feel it and get them to come on board. That's just part of the gig.
Well, you may have some high rollers in the audience at Casino Rama, but I can speak on behalf of all the winners from Rock 95 who are pumped to be at this show. So I don't think you're going to have to work too hard to get people out of their seats at this show. We're very excited to have you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk. Michael Bluestein from Foreigner. We can't wait to see you.
Absolutely. Great talking to you.